we are so happy that you're able to join us today and taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend our webinar. We do hope you find this information useful. My name is Mel Castillo. I'm the Manager of Advising and Admissions here in UVic's Faculty of Education. And I'm also joined by my co-host, Amy Machen.
Hi everybody, my name is Amy Machen and I am a program coordinator in the Teacher Education Office, also located here in the Faculty of Education. Welcome.
And we're so pleased that today we're also going to be joined by 3 guest speakers, and we'll introduce you to them in just a few slides. And so just to get started, our vision here in UVic's Faculty of Education is to cultivate a community of educators who believe that teaching and learning can be transformative and that every learner has a right to succeed. And so here's an overview of our agenda for today. We're going to provide an overview of UVic's elementary post-degree program. We're going to provide some information on the new campus update regarding the John Horgan campus, which is located in Langford, British Columbia. We're also going to go over the application process, both the academic and experiential requirements. And then this will likely be the highlight of our presentation, is hearing from all 3 of our guest speakers. We're going to have Amy Clausen, who's one of our Link to Practice instructors, as well as 2 teacher candidates, Brendan and Nathan. And at the end of our presentation, we're going to invite you to ask your questions. And so we hope you enjoy the ride. And so we know that oftentimes when we interact, it's by email or by phone. So I thought it's a really good chance to put a few faces to the names, or a few faces to the units that you'll be interacting with during this admission cycle. As you'll see at the top of the screen, my team, Education Advising. We have Janet, our frontline advising assistant, who you'll see on the left-hand side, and you will likely have spoken to her on the phone, her sunny disposition over the phone, or interacted with her via email. Our team generally oversees the overall admissions requirements and application review process for teacher education programs. And once students do enter and are admitted to the University of Victoria, we do provide extensive academic advising services, so connecting students with all of the major resources on campus, helping with degree planning, with registration, etc. So it's really nice to be with you. And Amy, I'll turn it to you to introduce your Teacher Education Office team.
Thank you. So I would like to introduce you via this lovely photo to the team that I work with. We're the teacher education team at UVic. The purpose of our team is really to support students in all aspects of their program once they're here on campus, but specifically around their field experiences. So that includes their in-program field experiences as well as their practicum experiences. And the person that you may have interacted with as you're preparing for your admission is our program assistant, who is Patricia Jekin. You may have asked her so many questions about some of the experiences that you're preparing to provide while you're preparing for your application.
Great, thanks so much, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd get started by sharing some of our unique program features here at the University of Victoria. And so by far, one of the most valuable features of the program are that they're all cohort-based programs. What that means is that programs organize students into cohorts. This means that they progress through the curriculum together, fostering a sense of community, collaboration, and support among students. We often hear that a lot of our teacher candidates develop lifelong friendships and bonds from this experience, which is quite special to see. We'd also like to talk about the smaller class sizes, which is a huge benefit of this program. And so at UVic, for UVic's elementary post-degree program, for the English cohort, we admit 33 new students each year. And we also offer a French cohort, and we admit I think a variable number of students to that cohort each year. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Depending on the number of applicants who are eligible?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And another key sort of hallmark of this program are all the field experiences, including the link to practice, which is embedded right into the program. So in Link to Practice, teacher candidates engage in weekly school visits during their first term of their B.Ed studies. So by incorporating field experiences during the first term, the program enables students to apply theoretical, pedagogical knowledge in real-world settings early on. And we're so pleased that Amy Clausen is here to join us, and she'll be sharing more information from her perspective today. We also build strong field partnerships with practicing teachers as instructors. So collaborating with practicing teachers as instructors provides valuable insights from the field and ensures that the students receive up-to-date, relevant, and practical knowledge. So these partnerships can facilitate potential networking opportunities and really important connections for future career plans. And so, as I said before, Amy will be able to shed a more personal light on those type of partnerships that you have developed with UVic. We're also pleased to share that we offer some really valuable French education opportunities. And so for the elementary post-degree program, we do offer two streams. One is the English stream, and the second stream is the French stream, where students will engage with about 55% of all their courses with French language content, which is invaluable, especially when you're preparing to teach in core French or French immersion settings. We may also offer a French module, as well as opportunities to take one or more of your practica within a French immersion setting. And so, and in this program, we also have two practicum experiences embedded right into the program. The first practicum experience is completed after the first year of study, and that's a 6-week practicum. And then the second certifying practicum is 10 weeks in duration, and that occurs during the end of the program. Those are both in real-time, in-classroom settings. So here's a quick overview of this program. And so as I mentioned before, there's both English and French cohorts. It's designed for students who've completed a prior degree. So this is a second degree program. It's a 16-month program in duration. So essentially students start in September of each year, and they'd actually be completed the program by December of the following year, which is fantastic for those students who will be entering the workforce soon after. This prepares teachers for elementary and middle school teaching settings. The two practicum placements are with the kindergarten to grade 8 classrooms. There was the French cohort option that I mentioned before. And one important note is that starting in September 2026, we're pleased to announce that the elementary post-degree program will be offered in John Horgan campus, which is located in Langford, British Columbia. It's a brand new space, and we're excited to tell you more about that in the following slides. There's also an elementary post-degree program offered through the East Kootenay Teacher Education Program, and that's located in Cranbrook, BC, and at the College of the Rockies. So we have a partnership over in the East Kootenays as well. And if you are preparing for the September 2026 intake, just remember that the application deadline is January 2nd. And so just to tell you a little bit more about John Horgan campus. So as you'll see, that photo is a rendering. Because this is a brand new new campus, we will have more photos and, to share on our website. So please watch out for that in the upcoming weeks. And so we wanted to let you know that this offers new multi-purpose dedicated classroom spaces. a dedicated computer lab just for the elementary post-degree cohort, bookable student spaces, so this could be individual study spaces or conference room spaces where you could engage in group projects, dedicated meeting spaces for collaboration. It's also located close to partnership schools. So it's embedded in School District 62, BC's fastest growing school district. It's also close to shops and services right in the Goldstream Village. And so, like I said, on our at the moment right now, we do have information and FAQs on our website. We invite you to go there to learn more. And like I said, we hope to have more photos and images from campus captured in the next few weeks. Great, and now I'm going to turn it to Amy, who will talk to us about the French cohort.
Yes, so as Mel has said before, this elementary PDP program has two streams, the English cohort stream as well as our French cohort. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about some of the key features of our French cohort. As Mel said before, you can expect the majority of your coursework to be delivered in French language, which is going to be a great way to revive and use some of your wonderful language skills. But the French element also extends past your coursework, and it will be present also in your embedded visits into the local classrooms, the weekly visits, which is the link to practice element that we've been referring to. And then, of course, you would be completing your practicums in a French context. Usually this is in a French immersion context, but also can extend into the Francophone schools, the Conseil scolaire francophone, which is great. Another kind of interesting element to our French cohort is that you will be collaborating as well with your English colleagues, English stream colleagues, I should say. There will be some courses that you will take together in a larger cohort, which I think is a wonderful way to share and exchange ideas. And then, of course, both streams will be located on the new John Horgan campus, which will be a nice kind of a cozy way to spend your time together. Some of the other important features of our French cohort is that we are so fortunate to benefit from really strong partnerships with our local school districts as well as the Conseil scolaire francophone, which has resulted in most of our program instructors coming from these local districts. So they include School District 61, which is the Greater Victoria School District, School District 62, which is the Souk School District, School District 63, which is Saanich School District, and even we've had an instructor join us from School District 64, which is the Gulf Islands School District. We also have an instructor that has joined us from the Conseil scolaire francophone. So it just demonstrates the deep investment that our partners have in this program and the commitment they have to helping this whole goal of realizing additional French language teachers come to fruition. So we're really fortunate and really grateful for that support. The other really neat part about our French cohort program is that we do also offer additional language and cultural programming through the Mon Passeport Franco. Some of the key features of this program include one-on-one language coaching. We offer cultural and linguistic workshops through the Séance Franco. We have a variety of teaching resources that we share with our students in French language, and we also attend various cultural events as they crop up with some of our local Francophone societies. And then finally, if you are part of the French cohort, there are opportunities to access bursaries that are funded by the Ministry of Education and Childcare. And I can confirm with you as well that for those coming into the 2026-2027 cohort, that the bursaries will be up to $1,600 over the course of your program. So lots of really great reasons to join us here and to embark on French teacher education here at UVic. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Amy. And so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the admission requirements for this program. As always, we do encourage you to visit our program website, where you'll find detailed information on the academic requirements, experience requirement, as well as our detailed application instructions. And so here's just a quick overview of the admission requirements for this program. So as I mentioned before, this is a second degree program. So we are looking for the completion of a first bachelor's degree program. There's a series of specific course requirements, grade requirements, French language proficiency, potentially if you are applying for the French cohort, as well as the experience requirement. And so we're looking for a 4-year bachelor's degree program. When you do apply to the program, UVic's undergraduate admissions office will review your transcripts as well as your previous degree program in preparation for this program. We're also looking for a specific set of course requirements. And so we're looking for 2 approved courses each in English, Canadian Studies, Math, and Science. So on the English courses, we're looking for 2 approved courses with a minimum grade of at least a C+ per course. That's a C+ on UVic's 9-point scale. And we're also looking for a C+ average on the 2 approved math courses. With regards to other grade requirements, the most popular question that we hear is, what is the competitive average needed for admission to this program? So the competitive average we use is the most recently completed 12 units of studies completed to December 31st. That is within the year prior to program entry. So 12 units of study at UVic is equivalent to about 8 half-year courses. So we're going to look at the average on those courses completed to December of this year if you're applying for September 2026 entry. We're also looking for a 12-unit sessional average to April 30th. That would be in the year 2026 for the 2026 intake, and then a 30-unit sessional average. So that 30-unit average would be composed by calculating your most recently completed 20 courses, and that would be to December 31st. And so once again, I'm going to turn it to Amy, and she can tell us about the French language proficiency requirement.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. So if you're planning on applying for the French cohort, we do require that applicants are able to demonstrate a certain level of French language proficiency. The 3 ways that we ask for that proof, the first one is the DELF B2 certificate. I think that's a pretty recognizable certificate that many people may have heard about already. We would accept the tout public or the scolaire DELF B2. We also would accept this actually is not on the slide, but I'll say it anyways, the TCF, which is the Test du Connaissance du Français Canada. Again, we would require a result of a B2 level or higher. And then finally, we would also consider an official post-secondary transcript from a Francophone institution or an institution where the main language of instruction is in French for that 1-year minimum that is spelled out here on the slide. So an example of this type of institution would be the Université de Montréal, for example.
Great, thanks so much, Amy. And this is you again.
Oh yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
Great. So another important feature of our application process is that we do require applicants to be able to demonstrate some experience working with children and youth. Sometimes we get questions about why we have these experience requirements. And what I'd like to share with you is that teaching is very much a relational activity, and we want to ensure that our applicants have engaged with young learners in order to determine if teaching is a good fit for you. We also like to see applicants having built skills working with the younger age groups, as well as working with a diverse a diverse amount of, or a diverse group of young people. And this is also a way for you to demonstrate your learning beyond your academic requirements. I would invite you to visit our program website for all of the detailed information about the experience requirements. So things like what types of experiences are acceptable and admissible versus experience that wouldn't necessarily count, and also about who would qualify to be a referee for your experience. The gist of our experience as well is that we do require applicants to have 75 hours working with groups of children and youth, as I said before. This would include children or youth in kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. This experience must be required 3 years prior to the application date. And it could be in 1 or 2 settings. It could be paid or volunteered, but 50 hours of this experience must be in Canada, and it must be from a single continuous experience. 2 pieces of the experience requirement that are quite essential are the summary of experience as well as the confidential reference forms. You'll find both of these elements once you visit UVic's online application portal. You'll be prompted to fill out your summary of experience there. You'll also be asked to submit the email addresses of your confidential referees. At that point, the system will send the reference form to those email addresses, and they will be able to input that information there. I'm happy to say that this is a new system, and I really hope it's much easier for you to use as an applicant. And then those referees, once they do fill out those forms, that will automatically come back to the university and will be uploaded to your online application checklist. So you'll be able to ensure that those documents have been received. And I think that's all I have to share about the experience requirement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's really helpful information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so let's go over some of the factors that may impact one's admission to the program. And so we're looking for students meeting all the post-secondary course, grade, and experience requirements, as we spoke about in the previous slides. And if you're applying for the French cohort, this would also mean satisfying the French language proficiency requirement. The competitive sessional average, as I mentioned before, as well as submitting your application, as well as all the different documentation, whether that be your official transcripts or experience documents by the published deadlines. And so I'm really excited to turn the floor over to Amy Clausen. Amy Clausen is one of the instructors for our Link to Practice program. Amy, I'll turn the floor to you so you can give yourself give a wonderful introduction to yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks. Hi. My name is Amy Clausen. I am a sessional instructor here. I've been teaching Link to Practice seminar. This is my 4th year working with the program, my first with the French PDP group, and very much happy to be a part of the education family here at UVic. I'm also an experienced teacher in French immersion and in the arts, both visual and performing arts, and I am now the head of French language programs in District 61, which is the Victoria School District. So yeah, I guess I get to talk a little bit about, well, my slide is here. My first point on the slide is why come to UVic, and I, like a lot of people here in Victoria, was not born and raised here. I was born and raised on the traditional territories of the Tsleil-Waututh people on the shores of False Creek in Vancouver. But coming here to Victoria has led me to a really rich environment of teaching and learning. Pedagogy is really strong, and I wanted to make I know it's already been said, but knowing that there are 3 really strong and really different districts in our local region, District 61, which is Victoria, 62, which is Souk, the fastest growing region in the province, and 63, which is Saanich, a little bit smaller and more rural. But shout out to 61, the greatest number of, the greatest percentage of French immersion students in our district in the province. We have the greatest number and the greatest percentage of French learners in the 61 district, which is pretty cool to be a part of that. So lots of opportunities for teaching and learning right here in the local region, and so many of those professionals working in this program, which is great. Because Victoria is a capital, I think we really benefit from proximity to those policymakers. Government is here, and a lot of the folks working in the Ministry of Education are also closely connected with our practice, and I think that's a great advantage for a university that's situated in its provincial capital. So I wanted to mention that. As far as my notes here about journeys to PDP programs, when we're talking about personal readiness, I wanted to just share a little bit of my story. I entered my PDP program not here at UVic, but at another university, not until I was really ready to become a teacher, and it took me a little longer than some. I entered as a mature student, and I was already a mother. I had a baby, I had an infant at the time when I was applying for my program. I also had a master's degree and an undergraduate degree, and several years of experience in other aspects of other parts of the education profession. It took me some time to get my prerequisites in order. I know that requirements for the Canadian content and the science credit, those were things I didn't already have. But once I knew that I wanted to become a teacher, once I was focused on that goal, doing that upgrading was something that required a little bit of perseverance. So that's my third point, was knowing that I had set my sights on that goal, getting through that coursework, those prerequisites, and persevering until I found my way into my program was really the right choice for me. And the reason I wanted to share that was because those three things are what I think every candidate in our program brings when they come into this program with such a diversity of experiences and undergraduate degrees. Many have lived experience out of the country, out of this region, and are coming into this program with so much to offer. I was delighted when I entered my PDP program to learn I was not the only parent, and I was not the oldest student in my cohort. There were so many other interesting and diverse candidates I got to learn from and with and alongside. So I want to just mention that there's so many diverse pathways to this profession, and they're all really valuable to our students. I want to mention the Link to Practice, because that is the course that I teach here currently, and it's a really special part of this program. It certainly wasn't something that I experienced in my professional training, but the Link to Practice program is a weekly, I don't want to call it a practica, because it's not a practicum, but it's placement in schools every Wednesday for a term. And so students in my seminar are going into classrooms, K to grade 8, for an entire day every Wednesday, and then coming to my seminar where we're unpacking some of the really practical applications of what we're learning. So the coursework that I'm offering is about what are we seeing, what is actually happening in a classroom, bell to bell and beyond. And those are some of the things that we don't necessarily always get the chance to talk about in our more theoretical or pedagogical focused courses. So that practical application is such a valuable and rich environment for our candidates, also for me as a professional, to have these conversations with folks who are getting ready to enter this profession. And I feel so grateful to have those conversations, and I'm really curious about what they're seeing and how it's resonating and where their inquiry is going and how I can help support their light to shine in this profession. We are all, teachers brings, as I have already mentioned, teachers bring so much with them into the profession, and I feel like my job is helping my students, that is my UVic candidates, to find their light and let it shine. And the picture on my slide is the photo I took in my very first placement out of my PDP program. That was my very first contract. And I mentioned I had previous experience in education. It was in the arts. I was an arts educator before I became a teacher. I had many years of experience in theater and puppetry. And when I became a teacher, I didn't imagine how I would ever incorporate that experience into my teaching. And yet, my very first contract, that was a grade 7 late French immersion classroom. I did an entire unit on puppetry with my students, and I was so delighted to discover that I too had a light to shine, and that finding my unique pathway in the profession was a really big, really bright spot for me. My final thing here is about teaching and learning in French. If you don't already know, French immersion continues to be a high demand program, and many districts in our province and beyond have a hard time keeping up with that demand. So if you're considering, if you're considering the French cohort, I'd like to just mention, I know it takes that perseverance and those prerequisites, getting the DELF B2 or equivalent language proficiency. That can take some perseverance, but I think it's worthwhile if you're considering teaching in French. It is a wonderful language community here in Victoria, in the university for sure, with our équipe in the French PDP cohort, but also beyond. As I mentioned, being in a capital city, we have also a lively Francophone community and a lot of opportunities for professional development and growth within multilingual communities. And I think that's a really special place to be as a teacher. So I would love to answer any questions of anybody when we get to that about teaching and learning in French, especially as an Anglophone. I myself am not a Francophone, and it's really wonderful place to be as a lifelong learner of a language, and to share that passion with our students is really special. So. I think that's about it for me.
Thank you so much, Amy, for sharing your story and experiences. I did have a question for you.
Sure.
I also wanted to say how much we appreciate you for helping our teacher candidates find their light. And I thought that was such a beautiful line that you shared with us. And so having said that, I just wanted to tie that in to the Link to Practice experience, field experience that you help mentor our students. How important is that preparation, that Link to Practice preparation? So just so you know, this Link to Practice field experience occurs during the first term that the students, when they actually start the program. So this happens long before their 6-week practicum and their 10-week practicum. So I just wanted to turn it to you, like how valuable is this experience prior to actually entering into their more formal practicum experience?
It's brilliant. I don't know why every university doesn't do this. I think there's, if I may, I'll just speak about the alternative, which is doing all of your academic coursework and then a qualifying final practicum, at which point kind of that theoretical framework completely falls apart, because now you're actually in a classroom from probably 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 at night every day trying to qualify for a professional designation, and you realize, oh my gosh, of all the academics and all the preparation I've done, the theoretical frameworks are so important. But now I'm actually preparing to enter a very practical profession. So the lived experience of being in the classroom is so valuable. And I'm hoping that maybe the candidates who are sitting to my right will talk a little bit more about that. But for me, having those seminar students in my room who have been in a classroom all day, and they say, whoa, I think I just saw this theory in use. I just saw a teacher actually apply. I was in the room when this was happening, and I was able to make really grounded connections between theory and practice. Or, is this normal? As often we have our candidates asking, well, is it normal to have an unplanned fire alarm in the middle of a test? It's like, yes. This is what it's like in the profession. Once you're in a practicum situation, especially a qualifying final practicum, I think it's so valuable that our candidates already have some of that embodied experience under their belts. They know how tiring it is to be in a classroom all day. They understand what some of the regular kind of routines might look like, or what some of the variations in energy levels, and they've really already had a chance to absorb so much of the practical applications, so that I think they're going into their final practica with a lot of kind of more embedded, like more lived experience of what that time in the classroom might look and feel like, rather than coming straight out of, as I did, 8 months of academic preparation and then a final qualifying practicum with no chance to go back and say, wait a minute, I want to talk to that prof about what I learned 6 months ago, because I think that's what I'm seeing now. So anyway, I think Link to Practice is truly the best way to prepare candidates for this profession. Absolutely.
And right from the source. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and story with us. And we're looking, I know Amy and I are, this Amy, so we have two Amy's here today. Amy M. and I are also looking forward to hearing about this embodied experience that Amy Clausen was sharing with us through the lens of both of our teacher candidates. And so I'm going to turn the floor to Brendan. And Brendan, I'm going to get you to do a brief intro to yourself.
Absolutely. Hi, bonjour. My name is Brennan. I'm part of the French PDP cohort. I have to say that it lived up to everything that I was expecting when I was applying and I was in your position. It is the cream of the crop. I mean, every applicant they bring in is really top notch, and it really pushes you to and motivates you to become a better teacher. These staff as well that they have on board are exceptional. They have firsthand experience in the field, so you often end up going up to them after class and asking them a bunch of what seems like silly questions, but you're starting at ground zero. So, but I'm going to go and focus on to my journey into becoming a teacher candidate. So I learned French in Montreal, Quebec, so had a very grounded foundation right from the get-go. And then I moved out to BC when I was 17, and then later on figured out that I wanted to go into teaching and said to myself, well, if you're good at something, add it onto your resume. So I mean, having French as a tool was extremely helpful because they are so in need of teachers in British Columbia. And I mean, it's just wonderful because I can just apply to this skill in my daily life now. I also would like to say that our cohort, Nathan will get to this in a sec about his, but it is very tight-knit. I mean, I can only speak to French firsthand, but we are only 6 in our cohort. So like every class that we are together, I've had the chance of doing projects already with everyone in the class. So you get to know everyone very quickly, and you become very tight. So it makes the journey towards becoming a teacher a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. Other experience that I've had going into the teacher program was and continue to this day work at an out-of-school care program for the township of Esquimalt. So that was really helpful in gaining experience because you really do it's really important that you have prior knowledge to working with children before you start the program. I know that there's a lot of high expectation academically to be accepted into UVic's teacher program, but to know that teaching is really for you is really valuable to make the most out of what the experience requirements that they place, because it really will shape the way and trajectory of where you're going with your teaching career. Finally, I would like to go with the student life. So what the expectations are going in, if you can, how often you can work. I know this is a common question with a lot of university students. I work a few days a week, part-time with a couple jobs, and it's very busy. The work is mostly project-based, so there's not really exams, but it's more working for hands-on material. So really, every project that you're using and you're building goes towards creating all your lesson plans so you can get started right when you get going as a teacher. But yeah, like I said, it is you will have to dedicate quite some time to the program, but it's extremely rewarding.
Great. Thank you so much, Brendan. I did want to pick your brain a little bit about the French cohort, because that seems to be such a unique experience for this elementary post-degree program. And so now that you're right into the thick of things, you're in the French cohort. You're taking up to 55% of your courses are in the French language. How are you finding that experience? And did you have sort of preconceived sort of expectations before versus what the reality is now?
That's a very good question, Mel. Okay, so before starting the year, in British Columbia, it's not every day you get to use your French, so I found myself a little bit rusty. But because you're using it in every single class, at least I am this semester, and you're using it in Link to Practice with Amy, it really fine tuning it, and I've just found that like it just comes back like that. But honestly, it becomes just second nature to speak French at this point. I mean, like it's you really are exposed quite a bit to it, and that's
awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess the fact that you're using it every day and you're conversing with all the people in your cohort, and so you have this like little community of you sort of going through the motions in a French language sort of cohort is probably such a special experience.
Yeah, using your French every day, it's like sharpening a pencil. I was like,
love it.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Brendan.
For sure.
Great, and let's turn it next to Nathan. And Nathan will tell us a little bit more about the English cohort experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Hello, everybody. My name is Nathan Clark. Similar to Brendan, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my journey to the PDP program, and then some of the highlights of the program for me so far. So I graduated high school in 2017. After I graduated, had a lot of indecision as to what I was going to do. So I did a gap year and traveled for a year. And then I went to Camosun for about a year, took like so many first year classes trying to figure out what to major in. During that time, my aunt, who teaches at the University of Manitoba, teaches music education over there, convinced me to audition for their jazz program. So I went kind of on a whim to Winnipeg and auditioned on piano for their jazz program. Got in, decided to pursue that, and then after that degree, had a moment that I think a lot of people have. I was like, okay, I have a bachelor's degree. Where's my full-time job in jazz? And it wasn't there. So I had to decide what to do next. During my last year of school, I taught piano, and that's what really sparked a passion for teaching with me. I loved going to work every day. And then also my mom is a grade 8 teacher as well, so got to see a little bit of what it's like to be a teacher through her eyes. Then so a year went by and I almost said auditioned. I applied.
Might as well have been an audition.
Applied for the PDP program, got in, started this year. And I'll talk a little bit about what the program's been like and the highlights. A great thing about it that a lot of people have mentioned already is that we're in a cohort, which is first of all just super fun. It's fun to be in the same classes with the same group of people every day. My cohort has, I think, 27 people in it. And it's only been a couple months, but we all feel pretty close so far. Already feel pretty close. Along with it being fun, it's also a really supportive atmosphere. Just a couple weeks in, someone put a message in our group chat and said, "Oh, I made like an assignment schedule for the whole semester that you guys can have."
Happened with us as well.
And then just lots of like, reminder, this assignment is due this week, or if anyone missed this class, here's what the teacher talked about. So that's been really great. In addition to the cohort, the profs have been really excellent. It's really clear that all of them have studied teaching in depth, and they'll even point out teaching tactics that they're using during class. It's honestly exceeded my expectations. The education that we're getting so far. Not that I thought it'd be bad, but it's been great. The biggest highlight of the program so far has been the link to practice, like a lot of people have talked about. I'm in this program, and hopefully everyone else is, because we love being with kids and getting to know kids, teaching them. And so it's so great to actually be able to do that once a week. And then, like other people have talked about, just apply some of this theory that we're learning about in class. And that's it for me.
Great. Thank you so much, Nathan. I just wanted to ask you a little bit more about your Link to Practice experiences, if I may. I just wanted to, let's turn back time a month ago, when you first started the program. Can you kind of walk us through what was going through your mind when you entered your first Link to Practice experience? When you first stepped into that school, a brand new teacher candidate, how did that feel? And sort of share some of your thoughts on that experience.
Yeah. Oh man, I think I was definitely a little bit nervous going into a new situation. Yeah, mostly I was just really, really excited. And then the thing about the Link to Practice too is it gets better every week because you get to know the kids better and better, and you get to know the routines better. Yeah, and then they get to know you as well. And there's nothing more that fills your heart more than when you walk in the classroom and they're all like, Mr. Clark. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love what you said there, that it gets better and better each week. And I'm sure that's the same way with the program as you get to, you're building more relationships, kind of seeing how the pedagogy sort of relates back to the practice,
Yep.
and meeting all these amazing, obviously, students, as well as connecting more and more with the people in your cohort. So we appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. That's fantastic. Thanks to all of our guest speakers today. Certainly, once we turn it to our question period, you can ask them your questions, and they'd be happy to share more of their experiences with you at that time. And so we just have a few more slides, and then we'll get to the question periods shortly. Well, this is actually the last slide, so lucky you, this is the last slide. We wanted to encourage you to connect with us. We appreciate you so much for taking the time to join us on this webinar journey, hearing the stories of our current sessional instructors, as well as 2 teacher candidates. And we also wanted to direct you to the appropriate offices for when you, I would imagine, would have questions about the application experience. And so when you're thinking about, if you have questions about the actual online application, troubleshooting that application, or submitting your documentation for this program, please contact undergrad admissions. If you have questions about the admission requirements or the application instructions, you can contact my team. That's Education Advising, and you'll see the contact information in that slide. And finally, if you have questions about the in-program experience as well as the experience requirement, please contact Amy's team, which is the Teacher Education Office. We encourage you to follow us on both Instagram and Facebook. We have lots of interesting stories and information on there. And with that, let's cue over to question period. Thank you all so much. And I'm going to look at the chat here because I'm sure we have a really engaged group. Great. So I see a question asking about online programming and online courses. Amy, does this program offer any online courses?
Generally speaking, teacher education is a face-to-face program. It's an in-person program. There is one course that we do offer online, which is the course that leads into your final practicum, because we do have teacher candidates who complete their final practicum not in town. So we do have that course online to open up that option for students. But generally speaking, it is an in-person, face-to-face program.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see a question here, and this is related to the John Horgan campus. And they're basically asking where some of the physical education courses that are offered within the elementary post-degree program will be located once we move over to John Horgan campus. So I just wanted to let you know that I know that the Faculty of Education is currently meeting with our district partners and planning that and scheduling those courses, as well as finding different spaces for example, that physical education course. And so once students are admitted to the program, we'll have more details at that time. So we look forward to sharing that with you once those details are known in the next few months. Great. And so I have another question. Does experience have to be working in a high school?
Not at all.
Or in elementary and middle school. They're working in a high school right now.
Not at all. No, the answer is still the same. The experience that we're looking for is really to, again, have experience working with groups of children and youth. So it could be from kindergarten to 12. While it is helpful, I think, to have a little bit of an idea of what it's like to be working with the age groups that this program sort of feeds into, it's certainly not necessary. The whole idea of the experience requirement is to test out teaching and to get to have a bit of a taste of what working in a group looks like. So that's really the kind of the key part. So not to worry, if it's just high school, we will still accept it.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a French language related question, if I may ask you, Amy. I have neither the DELF B2 or French language university's requirement for the French PDPP, but I would like to teach French. Is it possible to teach French without the French PDPP? My French language skills are high.
So it sounds like the question is asking, I guess if the question is asking if you would like to participate in the French language cohort, we do require that French language proficiency evidence. However, I would encourage you to maybe reach out to our office and we could discuss that on a case-by-case basis, but generally speaking, we do require that evidence. If you enter the English stream of the elementary PDP, there are opportunities to still bolster your French language and to take that exam or whatever to prove your language proficiency. So the journey does not end for you for French. If you end up going into the English stream, we can always work together to ensure that you have that opportunity. Yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Absolutely.
I'm curious about that question, whether if someone doesn't have the DELF B2 yet, but I know your admission deadline is coming up, is the possibility of working to, applying for a spot in the French cohort pending a DELF B2 test result? Is that something that candidates sometimes ask about?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thanks, Amy. So if you were applying for the French cohort for September 2026 entry, essentially you have until May 31st, 2026 to provide proof of your French language proficiency. So you do have the entire next term to plan ahead. So we hope that gives you enough time. But certainly if you had any questions about your specific situation, we do encourage you to contact us. You can either contact our team at Education Advising or Amy's team over at the Teacher Education Office. Great. And so I had a question for both of the teacher candidates over here, Brendan and Nathan, and it's the same question. So going back to when you were an applicant and thinking about this program, thinking about applying to this program, is there any advice that you would give to current applicants knowing what you know now?
Very good question. May I jump in? Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, just because for my experience, I needed the DELF B2, and I did not have university experience in a French university. So I would highly suggest you to not do what I did, and that is to prepare for a DELF exam mid-semester. They do offer it during the summer, and that is when I would probably suggest you to take it, just because the DELF exam is pretty intense, and your studies for fourth year or third year, doesn't matter, are going to be heavy. And especially if you are trying to complete the pre-requirements to get into the program, each of those classes are very, very intensive and very heavy. So I would just strongly suggest you to at least get the highest grade possible in your DELF B2 and ensure that you do pass it. Nathan?
Awesome. My only advice is if you're currently doing your undergrad, take a look at the prereqs for this program and try to fit them in, just to avoid doing an extra semester after you graduate.
Great advice. Thanks, you two. Now I have a question for Amy Clausen.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this is regarding Link to Practice, and there's a question about, is there an opportunity, like a French language opportunity within the Link to Practice experience?
Absolutely, yeah. So all of our French cohort candidates are in French immersion classrooms from K to 8 for Link to Practice, and that is, I think, the best way for them to see hands-on what teaching and learning French in a French immersion environment looks like. Yeah.
Great, thanks so much. And another question about Link to Practice. Are you in the same school and class for the entire term?
Yeah, I mean, I can, you jump in.
Please, Amy.
Whoever wants to talk this day.
The goal is to have our candidates in a classroom for the entire term in order to see those relationships develop and to see it from, I mean, this is such a special opportunity to see a classroom in September all the way to the beginning of December, the end of term. We see so much growth. As teachers, we see so much change we're getting to know students right through the end of first term, which is a great thing for our candidates to see. In some cases, we have a couple of candidates in the middle school model, and and middle school model is, you may or may not know, I didn't grow up in a place with middle schools, but in a middle school, you'll typically have students moving from one teacher to another for some of their core academic subjects. So in Brendan's case, we've kind of created some opportunities for him and his partner in the Link to Practice to see a couple of different teachers, but following students at the same grade level, which I think is, grade 7 and 8 students in a variety of different classroom contexts in the same school.
If I may add on, Amy. So the whole goal when you start the program is that they're trying to build you as a well-rounded teacher. So the experience that you have going into the program, they're going to try to do the exact opposite. So they're going to try to avoid placing you. Let's say if you have experience volunteering in a kindergarten classroom, they're going to try to put you in to middle school. And I knew, I just had a very strong feeling before I started the program that if I get when I get placed for my Link to Practice, it's probably going to be middle school because I have zero experience in middle school. But that being said, it's been quite eye-opening in what I can do as a teacher, just because coming into the program, you're usually so narrowed and so set on what you want to teach, and you think you already have, the brightest idea of where you're going, and it could not be farther than for truth, because like you really have to just soak it all in, and it's quite a whirlwind.
Yeah, if I can just add to that, licensing for teachers in our province, when you're licensed to teach elementary and middle in a district like ours, which has K to 8, that includes middle school, and there's a huge variety of job descriptions that fall in there. So when you're coming out of an institution like UVic with a teaching degree and then coming to an employer with that degree, you're considered qualified to teach a broad range of classes and ages. And I think being placed maybe outside of your comfort zone early on is a really great opportunity to discover how much you have to offer beyond maybe the experience you came in with. So, yeah.
Great. I'll just say my experience on the question. Yeah. I'm in a grade 3-4 split, but the teachers encourage us to see other classrooms. So I walked over to the middle school for an afternoon, and then went to another classroom for an afternoon. So, lots of opportunity to see different teaching styles and stuff like that.
Great. Thank you all. Very robust answers to that question. I appreciate that. So we are at 4:30 right now, and before we end, I see there's many more questions in the chat than we could answer, but I'm just going to quickly go through and answer some questions in a rapid fire sort of way. So hopefully that's helpful. We will also be sharing this video both on our website, and I'll be emailing all you folks the link to the video once it's ready. So thank you so much. And so with that, I'm just going to quickly do a rapid fire here. So how many students are admitted to the English elementary post-degree cohort? We admit 33 students annually. How many applications do you receive and accept each year. Last year we received over 100 applications in the ballpark, so more than 100. And are the cohorts accepting more people because of the campus change? So I wanted to confirm that we are not increasing our cohort size with the move to John Horgan campus. So the current elementary post-degree cohorts, and so that's both the English and the French cohorts, will be moving to John Horgan campus, but we're not necessarily increasing the size of those cohorts. And great, and with that, I just wanted to thank you all. We're at 4:31, so we're a little bit over time. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you all. We know you all have busy schedules. We do hope you found this webinar useful. As I said before, I'll email you all once we do have the produced video that's ready to go, and it'll also be published on our program website. Amy, did you have any final words?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for considering UVic as your teacher education program provider. And I hope to see some of you in September.
And just a special shout out to Amy Clausen, Brendan, as well as Nathan. Thank you so much. You really made this experience more personalized, and we appreciate you all sharing your stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.